Hey, everybody. Excited to be here with Lucas from the Netherlands, who is a member of our SDR Accelerator program and recently also broke into Databricks. Very excited for you. One of the top companies in the world right now. So I know we're going to dive deep and a lot of value for everyone listening. Maybe just setting the stage for our conversation, share a little bit about your background, your experience in tech sales to date before joining higher levels, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Eric, for the warm intro. And thanks everyone on the higher levels community or maybe from the outside looking in, tuning in. It's great to be here and to be able to share my experience. So yeah, Eric, to your points, I think what really got me into tech sales is maybe for a lot of the people watching right now is maybe the main reason is you sort of see it plopping around online all the time and you start thinking about like, okay, where's the market moving towards and how can I make the most amount of money given that I'm a highly competitive person. Tech sales definitely the place to be. And yeah, so that's what got me into it in the first place. From a tech perspective, I mean, always sort of been interested into it. Have a marketing background myself, B2B marketing specifically, sort of always been into tech. And yeah, I gradually got more into the commercial side of things and really wanted to sort of leverage my competitive instinct in an environment where it could also financially benefit me. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, but feel free to touch on that if you want.
Sure. No, that's awesome. And I guess the natural question for me too is like, you are based in Europe, and that's something I want to get into as well. We support students all over the place. So I'm curious how, some of the strategies in Europe compared to North America. Maybe before I get there as well, like just talk about, I'd be curious your experience. You break in as an SDR. You are, it sounds like, doing pretty well, getting some traction. What still went into that decision to invest in external training, regardless of if it was higher levels or anyone else?
Well, I think with all due respect to the enablement team over at my current employer, I think I was still sort of looking for that secret sauce, so to speak. And back in the day when I just started out, I was a little bit inexperienced with cold calling, so to say. I had experience in the past, but I really just wanted to sort of master it in a way. So yeah, Eric, that's how I arrived at your videos as well as Connor's. And I started sort of adopting some of the frameworks and I think they played a key role in me being able to be top performer over there for 3 consecutive months at some point, and eventually being lined up for a promotion as well. So I just ended up continuing to sort of, yeah, ingest into the resources and divulge myself into them. And yeah, now we've made this move, and I think it's all the better off for it.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear, man. And I'm curious on that note too, because a very common question, whether it's in, the comments on our YouTube or through our website or whatever, is, hey, I'm in Europe or I'm in Asia. How did the strategies compare? Because you're based in the United States, right? Do you notice, and this isn't like a plug of like, oh, higher levels works anywhere, like genuine question of, do you notice any differences? Was it effective? Were there things that you had to modify further specifically for your market? I'm curious kind of what that experience was like.
Yeah, that's honestly a very good question. And I will say, due to the course material mainly being in English, I am in the AI Sales Accelerator course, for example, and you have the GPTs where, okay, some cold call scripts or email templates are generated for you in English, but then you have to sort of fine tune it to sort of translate it in English as well. And GPT's translation capabilities don't always translate well into like a real live cold call, like a game time scenario. So there are some fine tuning efforts that you have to do over there and make sure that the right language is used. And also just, again, it's a continuous source of experimentation, right? So there are some little nuances in your scripts or your templates that apply a little bit better to, let's say, the European or the Dutch market specifically, something they reply a lot better to rather than, the one would say assumptive communication is a lot more effective, but sometimes, yeah, the permission-based openers, things like that, they do end up working a lot better. So it is a matter of reading the room and applying what works best for you out of experience.
Nice. No, it's, great feedback and awesome to hear. And I'm curious too, aside from maybe your cold email scripts, your cold call scripts, things of that nature, I know some of what we talk about is more territory planning. There's other aspects of the SDR job. Were there other things that you found that, aside from the scripting and language aspect of it, that were beneficial and or needed to be further modified? Just curious if that helped at all.
No, I think the course material in and of itself, regardless of where I think you apply it, and maybe I'm a good source on that, is that it's quite ubiquitous in nature. just the general key pointers of, if you're just starting out, you want to get sort of the lay of the land. You want to sort of get into the hot seat as soon as possible. You want to establish good relationships with your supporting reps and your AEs. That is something that is, I think, at least in my opinion, or from my experience, can be ubiquitously applied. So that's what I did. And it did end up, leading to great results with my AEs, them occasionally throwing a bone towards me, anything along those lines. And yeah, I think that's how I end up getting as far as I am today.
That's awesome, man. And I'd love to maybe also shed light on the interview process for everyone watching. You made a change to Databricks, so got recruited, ultimately break in there. And not only is that like an insanely impressive company right now, but for everyone's reference watching, we have thousands of students. You're the second person that's ever broken into Databricks. I know they have a notoriously difficult interview process. So I'd leave it wide open. Definitely, don't have to share too many company specifics or anything like that. But going through that process, any learnings there, any takeaways for anyone that's trying to break into a tier 1 logo?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to differ from country to country and the hiring practices and so on and so forth. I think it might be a lot more intensive, say, for example, in the United States as opposed to maybe the Dutch office. But it was definitely an interview experience that I haven't previously had before in terms of intensity. They were really good, I would say, at throwing you curveballs. So I spent a lot of time prior to these interviews preparing for it, because I know, you're going to have to be on your A game to break into these kind of companies. So I think funny story about this, actually, I was sort of touching up on the final stage of the interview where they were sort of outlining that they were going to test you on the sort of product or the data intelligence platform in and of itself. So I learned a lot about, a highly technical conception of what the platform is, what it does, what kind of customers it serves, et cetera, et cetera. And then in the final stage interview, you're sort of live on the panel. The first question you get asked is, how would you explain Databricks as you would to maybe a 5-year-old? So you have sort of ingrained into your system like this very technical explanation of what the platform is, and now you have to simplify it. So I think preparation is key, of course, in any sort of environment, wherever you interview, that is a given. But you also have to prepare for the fact that, okay, as many questions as you might be able to prepare for, these are people that really want to get the most out of this interview and the most out of you. They want to sort of get a good assessment of your qualities, and they're going to throw you some difficult questions for sure.
Yeah, it's an awesome example and something that is really hard to explain until you get in it. Like, I think you articulated that well. A lot of companies, especially I think the bigger and more notorious ones, as you get to those final stage interviews, they know that people getting to that stage are, driven. They have what it takes. They're actually trying to trip you up on purpose, specifically to see how you handle not knowing an answer or having to think on your feet. So really great example. And maybe just looking back at your entire experience as an SDR so far, I know you're coming up on a year mark, making this transition to Databricks. Any closing advice for anyone out there that's an SDR looking to kind of accelerate their success, et cetera? I'd leave it wide open, but thanks again for the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. Thank you so much. And for anyone else on the outside looking in, as I said at the start, do feel free to consider the higher levels community. It's unlocked a lot of insights for me and learnings as well. So yeah, do make that consideration, and I hope to see you there.